Hello, my name is Charlie Keane and I'm going to present to you the needs analysis of Gaelic football and critique the relevance of percentage-based training and velocity-based training in relation to the sport. Brown and Waller in 2014 describes Gaelic football as an intermittent, high-intensity field sport which is similar in nature to soccer, rugby, basketball and Australian rules football. It is played with two teams of 15 players and has a match duration of 70 minutes split into two equal halves. Although the physical demands of Gaelic football are comparable to these previously mentioned sports, the field or court dimensions vary somewhat and subtle differences in physical demands exist. Longer durations of high intensity efforts will be required than that of soccer, rugby and basketball due to the difference in pitch dimensions and rules of the sports. These bouts of high intensity efforts are interspersed with mainly low intensity movements such as walking and jogging, and these periods tend to make up most of the game. Therefore, aerobic and anaerobic qualities are both required in Gaelic football, with a strong need for repeat sprintability to deal with the bouts of high intensity efforts. The movement patterns involved with Gaelic football include, but are not limited to, acceleration, deceleration, cutting, jumping and backpedaling. Lower body strength and power is required to execute these movements quickly and efficiently to gain an advantage on the field. As noted by McIntyre in 2005, upper body strength is an essential attribute for Gaelic football player as it helps in resisting and instigating physical challenges both in terms of ball retention and winning possession. The table to the right is from McIntyre's study in 2005 and it compares the physiological data from Gaelic football, hurling and soccer which shows that out of the samples tested, Gaelic footballers possess greater upper and lower body strength and speed qualities than the other two sports. Unfortunately, no other data was analysed for counter movement jumps or force velocity profiling in this particular study. So on to the athlete that I am going to be doing this assessment on. He is a 17-year-old male, his weight is 69 kilograms and his height is 178 centimeters. I have worked closely with him for the last 2 years and more sporadically in the previous 2 years before that. In all, I have coached him in some capacity for 4 years and he has no previous injury history. He was the under-17 county captain last year and has been involved at county academy level for 3 years and is very familiar with the gym setting. Resistance training has formed a reasonable part of his academy career, so a realistic training age for this athlete would be 2 years. This athlete has been regularly tested down through the years and appears to have reached his peak height velocity in the last year. Therefore, I don't suspect any change in his height that could affect this assessment. The athlete's regular position is midfield, which would require him to run further distances than any other position on the pitch, according to a study carried out by Malone and colleagues in 2017. Therefore, he would need greater aerobic capacity than any other team members on the pitch. All other qualities such as strength, power, speed and ability to perform movement patterns the sports demands would be much the same as any other position on the pitch. I will now outline the relevance of percentage-based training for a Gaelic footballer. Sinclair and colleagues in 2001 described the implementation of a periodised approach whereby load, volume and frequency are manipulated is essential to maximise improvements in hypertrophy, strength and power. The choice of load has habitually been determined as a percentage of an athlete's 1 repetition maximum, a modality known as percentage-based training. Various studies have shown PBT to be useful but perhaps not the most effective when compared to velocity-based training. The findings from these studies show that PBT has some limiting factors. These limiting factors include the reliability of the athlete's 1 rep max, as this can fluctuate and therefore an accurate prescribed weight may not be programmed. Fatigue can also play a negative part in percentage-based training, as higher volumes tend to be prescribed, and this can affect an individual's performance during competition periods. Although these are some disadvantages, PBT still has its merits. Traditional percentage-based training is still a useful tool to help improve a Gaelic footballer's hypertrophy, strength, speed and power, which will in turn improve the ability to execute the athletic demands of the sport outlined in the previous slides. The advantage of prescribing a percentage-based program is that it is a widely recognised method and easy to follow by any athlete who is familiar with a resistance program. This method can be used in an off-season setting where there will be no risk to hampering competition performance and provides an easy to understand pathway for the athlete to carry out in their own training without the need for technology assistance. However, it may not be as useful during the in-season period due to the limiting factors described previously. So on to velocity-based training. Much like traditional percentage-based training, velocity-based training is useful for preparing Gaelic footballers for the athletic demands and sporting pattern or movement patterns of the sport. However, the main advantage of using VBT is the auto-regulation aspect, in which live feedback from the latest technological devices can determine the athlete's optimal training load. This is especially useful as it rules out possible errors from one rep max repetitions, predictions, and can keep the athlete fresh during competition periods where training loads need to be kept lower than the off-season. Although there are few studies comparing PBT with VBT in Gaelic football, there is a study carried out by Orange and colleagues which compares the effect of percentage-based training and velocity-based training on Academy Rugby League players during a competitive season. The conclusion from the study favoured VBT to PBT for an in-season plan as it improved training stimuli, decreased training stress, and promotes velocity-specific adaptations. From these findings, I believe that both percentage-based training and velocity-based training has its merits within a Gaelic footballer season. The more traditional method could be utilised during the off-season when the player has more time to train in the gym and doesn't require the need for technology. In season, velocity-based training will be more effective to keep the athletes load down while also making them prime for competition. This last slide contains the references I've used to carry out for this presentation, and I'd like to thank you for taking the time out to view it. Thank you.